Right at the top of the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing to you a very shocking investigation done by India Today's Special Investigation Team. COVID vultures. We showed you so many ways that people were trying to profit during the COVID pandemic, the second wave, oxygen cylinders, the medicines. What we have got for you this time is even more shocking. Massive COVID-related biomedical waste, your PPE, suits, gloves, masks, all of them are finding their way back to the market, putting the life of everybody at risk and also the government and country's effort to control the pandemic. Take a look at this big India Today investigation, COVID Waste Baazar.
कोई है जो इसको साफ कर सकते हैं यहाँ पर? निकालते सिरिंजेस निकालते हो, उसी कूड़े में बच्चे भी हैं। सारा सब कुछ है।
Mountains of contaminated waste, piles of used PPE kits, sacks of discarded COVID syringes, gloves and masks. All taken from some of the leading government and private hospitals. Women segregate this infected scrap almost every day. Their children seen on the same ground of pandemic trash. Waste products from people who were infected by the virus. Totally unsafe, totally risky, and flowing directly back into the market.
We are at the grey market of COVID hospital waste. Such junkyard of infectious scrap are located no remote area, but in the national capital region.
Along the Delhi-Ghaziabad border at Bhopura, PPE kits are being dried under the hot summer sun. Workers and their operators explain the waste is prepared for resale in retail, wholesale and to local recycling factories.
सारी पीपीई किट है ना?
हाँ भी है, नीचे भी गिरा में है।
तो यार छटाई भी यहीं हो रही है?
ये सूख रहा है, सुखा के दे रहा है।
The manager of this yard identified himself as Bhandari. He confesses that the waste comes in from some of Delhi's leading hospitals, government hospitals included.
वैसे तुम्हारा माल कहाँ से आ रहा है?
हमारा तो भाई ये सारे मेल वगैरह से आ जाता है।
सारे मेल वगैरह से आ जाता है। तो आप लोग किस तरफ छटाई करवा?
हमारे पास मोम जाने का काम है।
छटाई। और देख किस तरह हो?
भाई मैंने आपसे क्या बतलाया? हमारा काम है गाड़ी पे लोड कर। ये ड्राइवर आएगा वो बतलाएगा कहाँ जा रहा है। डैश में चल जाता है।
डैश में चल जाता है। नाम क्या होती है?
When probed, this truck driver disclosed the destination. The COVID scrap was headed to a recycling factory at Loni in Ghaziabad.
वो तो है। वो अभी
उसको बुला लो।
मैं आज लेके आता हूँ।
कहाँ?
लोनी।
अच्छा लोनी में।
लोनी है।
अच्छा।
काट देंगे कौन नींबू?
तो लोनी में मिल्क को दे रहे हो? कौन सी वाली को?
एक ही तो है गोल चक्कर के बाद नहर के पास।
वाइट वाला। पलटो।
Individual buyers looking for cheap kits and syringes also procure them from here by the kilo.
इसमें सब तुम्हारा ही है? ये सारा तुम्हारा है? साफ है?
साफ है। साफ ही मिलेंगे तुम्हें।
सुनील भाई ये बताओ कितना माल दे दोगे आप?
मिल जाएगा आपको 400-500 किलो मिल सकता है।
400-500 किलो पीपीई किट दे दोगे?
हाँ मिल जाएंगे।
और ग्लूकोज की बॉटल और वो पाइप
ये भी 200-250 किलो हो ही जाती है।
तो वैसे कौन से हॉस्पिटल का आपके पास?
क्या है?
कौन सा वाला?
परपरगंज वाला, वैशाली वाला,
दोनों का है।
India has generated more than 200 tons of COVID medical waste per day during the pandemic. Delhi and UP rank among the states with the highest outputs. The Central Pollution Control Board has already recommended separate arrangements for handling, segregating and disposing of COVID biomedical waste at designated disposal facilities equipped with incinerators. The reasons are obvious. given the devastation of COVID, there cannot be even the slightest risk.
PPE वगैरह वेस्ट होती है ऐसी है तो कूलर में होती है हमारी दादा जी को जो है कपड़े की जो है
आपके यहाँ कहाँ से आ रहा है
ये इससे कम साफ है छोटे में कहीं
और पीपीई किट बताओ साफ
PPE की 10 जा रही है
10 हजार लेकिन मुझे साफ चाहिए
तो छट जाएगी शीशे साफ करना सब अंदर से लगे हुए हैं
हाँ बताओ
ये जो PPE किट वगैरह हमारी ये कम से कम 10 रुपये तो है
हाँ बताओ
जैसे कि ये मैंने बता दी प्राइस जो हो गई बिल्कुल ये मेरा आज की डेट में 57 लाख
57 रुपये किलो अच्छा
सिरिंज है अलग हो जाती है डंडी अलग हो जाती है
हाँ
सिरिंज आ गई है मेरी 63
But a lot of infectious refuse ends up in yards like these to be recycled back into the market. The scene is no different at this yard in Delhi's Shram Vihar. Women sort COVID waste with children around them. Poor, desperate workers risking COVID infections. And with no choice but to be part of the chain that could prove lethal later, the epidemic of greed thrives on chronic poverty and weak regulations in Delhi and its backyard. Who knows how much of this dangerous recycled waste has already flowed back into the hospital system? Has the damage already been done? With Nitin Jain and Mohammad Hizbullah, this is India Today's special investigation team.
There are very strict guidelines for disposal of biomedical waste of any kind. And with the pandemic, with the way the country has suffered in the second wave, this becomes very much more important. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give you a sense of how much COVID, biomedical waste is being generated every single day in the country and where all is it coming from. So just take a look at these numbers that we are putting out for you. Total biomedical waste generated in the country is about 47.6 tons every single day. This is per day generation of the biomedical waste. And if you take a look at, in fact, the numbers, where all is it coming from? 39% is coming from, this is in Delhi. In fact, this is the total waste generated only in the national capital. Meanwhile, 39% in Maharashtra has about total of 81.3% tons of medical waste. Kerala generates 66.6 tons of medical waste in the country. Uttar Pradesh, 68.4 tons of medical waste is generated as per the data which we have compiled from the Central Pollution Control Board. Now, what we were talking about earlier, what you saw in this report gives you a sense of how people are profiteering, trying to in fact use already used PPE kits, gloves, masks and resell them in the market. Now, the problem, one problem is that the workers and everybody else who is sitting there, they getting infected. But at a time when the country is up against a humongous task, experts are talking about a third wave. This chain could actually lead to a major spike as far as the COVID-19 numbers are concerned. Take a look at this report of how dangerous it can be, filed by my colleague Sneha Murdani.
A powder keg of a potential third wave. The virus smoldering in heaps of medical waste undetected. Mismanagement of biomedical waste has always been a challenge in India. What's worse is that experts are now saying that given the pandemic, the problems associated with this poor management of medical waste is only now increasing. Experts are also saying that this is extremely dangerous and risky, and that this mismanagement of biomedical waste is going to be the reason behind a spike of COVID-19 cases in the country in days and weeks to come. The statistics tell the tale. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, COVID scrap accounts for 20% of India's biomedical waste during the pandemic. Environment watchdog Centre for Science and Environment says even this hefty scale of pandemic trash is heavily underreported. Its research points to the mismatch between the caseload gone up by 234% between the first and second waves, and a mere 11% increase in COVID-19 biomedical waste.
a lot of our waste is being handled by the informal sector, right? And they are never found working with proper protective equipments, which is obviously for their own safety. There have been reports of open dumping of COVID-19 waste or biomedical waste related to COVID-19. There have been instances of burning of this waste. So all these three pointers combined pose a very huge risk.
The sources of this waste are innumerable.
Houses also became a source of COVID-19 biomedical waste. Now, the problem with this particular kind of source is that they are dynamic in nature, right? The number keeps on changing because people keep on recovering and then new cases keep on getting added to the existing number.
According to the CSE, only around 5,000 generators shared information about COVID trash on the designated app in May this year. That's when India accounted for almost half of the world's new cases. In November last year, as many as 1 lakh disclosed waste information though. With current capacity seen as highly inadequate to handle COVID medical waste, it's high time policy makers focus their attention on the piled up trash that may become a source of virus transmission if left untreated. In New Delhi, Sneha Murdani for India Today.
Let me now go across to my colleague Sneha Murdani to just get a better understanding of where are the loopholes? How is it that, despite having such strict guidelines, all this is just being left to private players who are, many of them are in fact trying to create this entire vulture profiteering market mechanism to try and make money out of this entire pandemic and the waste that is being generated out of the coronavirus pandemic. Sneha, government, at least on paper, says that there are very strict guidelines for disposal of COVID-19 waste or any kind of biomedical waste. Where are the loopholes? How is it that it is so easily available in the open market?
Well, there are two things here. To answer your question, first up, the informal sector is what is handling the biomedical waste in the country, Ankit, and that's where the problem really starts, because then who is ensuring that they get the right gloves, the right PPE kits to handle the waste, and especially waste revolving around an infection which is highly contagious, like SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. So actually, we've always had a problem of biomedical waste in the country because of lack of infrastructure, and the problem has increased. The problems associated with the mismanagement has increased because of the pandemic. Number of people recuperating at home because of COVID-19. Just give us an idea, or just for our viewers, just to leave this question open to them. How many people know how to wear a mask right? Forget about discarding a mask right. The problem with the pandemic is that healthcare services are being provided at home as well. While you may know how to take care of a patient, but there is a big problem when it comes to managing that waste.
Okay.
That's what experts are pointing to. And also, gross underreporting of data of generation of COVID-19 and other biomedical waste is something that experts are also pointing to.
Sneha, thank you for joining us with all those details and bringing us a complete background of what are the loopholes, where are the problem areas, in fact, as far as the biomedical waste is concerned. From this big expose, I now want to move to a story that we have been keeping a continuous focus on. The pace of vaccination in the country. That is the big challenge as far as India's fight against COVID-19 is concerned. And from June 21st record of 85 lakh vaccination, every single day, the number of the average of the vaccination of people being inoculated across the country is coming down. This is proving to be a big challenge for the government to meet their own estimates by December 2021. Of course, politics on this is going as usual.
With the threat of third wave staring at India, the only way to minimize the risk is to get vaccinated. India has an ambitious target to vaccinate all by December 2021. This implies all above 18 years, 106 crore people to be fully vaccinated by 2021. For this to happen, 216 crore doses must be given by December 2021. As of July 12th, India has fully vaccinated 7.30 crore people. Given the target to fully vaccinate 60% of the population by December, India will have to inoculate 87 lakh people a day. India right now is inoculating 33.7 lakh people a day on an average. To understand the overall price of vaccinations, let's look at how states are performing. Himachal Pradesh, 15.5% of population below 18 is fully vaccinated. Kerala, 15.4%. Delhi, 13.8% fully vaccinated. Gujarat, 12.8%. Uttarakhand, 12.3% fully vaccinated. While these states provide an optimistic outlook, these are states that continue to be a cause for concern. Assam has fully inoculated 5.7% of eligible population. Jharkhand, 5.2% fully vaccinated. Tamil Nadu, 5.1%. Uttar Pradesh, 3.9%. Bihar, just 3.6% fully vaccinated. The centre in an affidavit to Supreme Court had said that a total of 135 crore doses of Covid-19 vaccines will be available by December 2021. But the reality is, vaccinations continue to dip and states continue to report shortages in vaccines. In Delhi, vaccine shortage has forced to shut down vaccination centres. Delhi government is out of Covaxin and will pause jabs for first dose. As of July 11th, Delhi government had only 19,000 Covishield doses.
Here at Navyug School, this is one of the vaccination center, but the vaccination is not taking place at the moment. There are only few security guard and number of people visiting, and many say they have been waiting for a month, for a week, for 15 days. At different centers, they are running from pillar to post to get their first jab or the second jab done. But seems to be the crisis of vaccination supply to the national capital, a big disruption in this biggest mega drive. How the vaccination centers are deserted, and wherever there are supply, those centers are fully crowded.
Centre, however, defended India's vaccination pace.
हम 200 करोड़ तक की उपलब्धता को देख रहे हैं, तो बड़ी क्लियर कहा गया कि ये एस्टीमेट हमारे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स और कंपनीज ने हमें अपनी जिम्मेवारी से, अपनी एस्पिरेशनल तरीके से, और मैंने वर्ड यूज़ किया था ऑप्टिमिस्टिक एस्टीमेट्स, हमें सामने से साझे किया है.
Meanwhile, in the global race to vaccinate, India is still way below in the chart. India has inoculated just about 7.8% of 18+ population. With the Delta threat looming, vaccines are the only defense against COVID. India has to speed up its vaccinations to meet its monstrous target and avoid past mistakes. With Ashutosh Mishra, Bureau Report,